All right, here we are, baby. Back at it again. 2DOWN1OVER podcast. I'm Josh Mason. This is Matt Flanagan, and we're here to rock the mic, baby. How you feeling, Matt?
I'm feeling great, man. How are you doing?
I'm good, dude.
That's
you know,
good.
we just had the Thanksgiving break and
Yeah.
holiday, so we got to see the family. We got to see some kids come in, so it's always good when you get together with good food, good family, right?
That's it, man. Nice relaxing day, some football.
Yeah.
It's good. Sorry about the Giants.
Yeah, man, it's tough. We're taking a bad turn. You actually went away.
I did.
Yeah.
I was in Florida. I was with my brother, my nephew, and my father. That was amazing. It was
Nice.
all sports. It was seafood. It was a lot of fun.
Yes.
It was cool. It was like, it's good for the soul.
It is.
Really good
It
for
is.
the soul.
And
Yeah,
that was just straight
awesome.
dudes.
Just straight dudes, man.
Yeah, man.
Just dudes,
Sometimes it gotta
jokes.
be like that, right?
Sports.
Yes.
Doesn't get much better than that.
Nice.
You know?
We still love our wives, though.
Still
right?
love my
Wives
wife.
all
Yes,
day,
she's a
all day.
listener. Do love my wife
That's good.
very much.
So today, man, you know, the topic, like you said, we always pick the topic right before we come on, and what else but better to talk about fitness, man, right? That's what we do. This is our passion, and we love what we do. We're dedicated to it and driven to be the best. So let's talk about fitness, man. Like, what angle you want to go at this?
Well, a couple things that I was thinking about, because like on paper, you fitness and you think like beach body, right? And that's
Yep.
kind of like one of the first like superficial things that you think of, but there's so many other benefits to it. And for me, I'm kind of an anxious person. I have a tendency, especially this time of year, I can get a little bit depressed, but like, how do you combat that?
Right.
And for me, it's exercise, and it's exercise early in the morning, because exercising for me is going to make me less anxious. It's going to put me in a good mood. It kind of reduces cortisol, which is your fear hormone, right? So puts me in a better mood. And I also get some of my best ideas, like
100%.
either during or after exercise. And for me, it's like, it's just a game changer, not only for my life, but for my whole day.
Yes.
Because for me, my goals right now are not the beach body six pack.
Yes.
Like, you know, maybe when I was younger, like that's kind of how I thought.
Sure.
But growing up around exercise, you learn so many more things about it. And for me, it's about being overall like healthier.
Yes.
And like mentally, emotionally, and physically healthier, not only just the physical aspect. You know?
Yeah.
What would you say about it?
You know, here's the thing. I think, you know, the fitness realm fits in different stages and blocks for everyone, depending on where you are in your life, right? So you say for us, like, you know, back in the day it was more of like the, performance end, right? And then you go into the aesthetics, right? Or what the look looks like. But then it gets to a point where like just to function, just to have, you know, wellness, your well-being, your attitude, your energy, your thoughts, your creativity, like it starts to go into that realm. And what you touched on is 100% factual. If I miss workouts and there's a couple days that I do not, I fall into a funk. And it's naturally, it's not just because, I missed the workout, right? But I naturally fall into a funk where I don't think clearly, and I'm like unmotivated, and my energy's a little and I just don't have that spunk about me, right? But the moment I get in the gym and the moment I do that work, I'm like, oh man, like this is it. Like now I feel alive. And at this point in my life, like that is what I do, and that's what I need, because it's just part of my process. Like I need that in order to be a high achiever, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to be successful, I feel like that you want to be at your best. And to be at your best for me, and you're saying it also, is fitness. Like it starts with fitness.
100%. So I'll even touch on like when I went away with my dad, my brother, my nephew, like we had such a great time, but I didn't work out at all.
Yep.
We ate a ton of seafood. We went out to eat a lot. We're watching a lot of sports, and we had a great time. But like I got back, I felt kind of lethargic.
Sure.
And you know what's the answer to that is get in the gym and kind of, and there's a time where you need to go away. You need to recharge the battery and refresh your soul. But coming back in and getting into the gym and getting that sweat going and working hard, it was like, man, the ideas started to come. Like it was, you know, I started to feel real good, get real motivated, I couldn't wait to like get back to work, right. You know, which was like an amazing thing. And one thing I'll touch on too is that, and I learned this a while ago. For me, I love working out early in the morning. I love working out, you know, I usually try to work out before 9 a.m. before the day really gets started for me. It just like enhances my mood and focus for the entire day.
Right.
And for me, the key word is focus.
Yes.
Focus, because I have a tendency, like I'll look at my phone a lot, I'll get super distracted a lot, and you need that like deep work. You need that deep work. And I try to do that before noon, and exercise is going to help me do that.
Yes.
Exercise is going to help me dial in, and like that's, I think, a huge benefit to it.
Right.
Is that focus.
You're right. And when you lead into the fitness thing, is I think it's very important to understand to have like a schedule, right? And I think this goes for athletes, for if they're performance training, and then you have your adult fitness too. If you can break down a structure or a schedule on what you follow, that's very important, right? I think that, and don't get me wrong, like I think some people tend to think like, oh, I have to work out 5 days a week, or I have to work out 6 or 7 days a week. That's not true. No. That's not true. And depending and based on your goals, that all could be different. But I would say for the average, man, if you could get 3 days a weekend, a decent workout, like I think you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
And like mixed with some active like recovery and things like that, you're going to be okay. And I think you're going to feel well. So I don't think you need to look at fitness and be scared of it and say, I don't have 5 days. I'm not willing to put in that work. And I think for those novice and those beginners, it starts small. Like it starts with a walk. Like, hey, I'm just going to walk. Hey, I'm going to park my car farther so my distance is longer. Or I'm going to not take the elevator and take steps. Like I think it starts there. And that's the beauty of fitness. Like there's so many levels and there's so many stairs that you can climb to depending on what you're looking for. Right. And I encourage people, like, don't be scared to start small. Right? Like, what'd you say on that?
Yeah, and definitely. And what we talked about in earlier episodes was like consistency and habits. And, you know, one thing that like we just talked about some of the like mental and emotional benefits. Yes. Okay. We just went over that, but there's also physical benefits, which is also super important. So when you get into a program and say you start small, you start walking, and you continue to build on that. And then for me, one goal, I like to lift 3 times a week. It doesn't have to be crazy. I'm not trying to set PRs every week, but I like to lift. And what that does for me, it helps build a little confidence. Right. And you see that with people that come in here into our programs as well. Yep. You see the adults, you see the kids, and like kids especially, because kids struggle with confidence.
Sure.
And when you are able to build athleticism, you're going to get a little bit stronger. What that helps you is get your mind right, because you start to focus on a little bit more positive. You get a little bit more confident, and I think that's another thing too. And kind of touching on what you said is like that consistency, and starting small. So if you walk 3 times a week, and over time you're going to build confidence, right? Which is something that we touched on in earlier episodes, and it still holds true. Yeah. You know, it still holds true in this episode as well. And then you can build off that. Yep. And you prove to yourself that you can walk 3 times a week. You prove to yourself that you can park your car further away and, you know, walking into the store or taking the stairs every day instead of the elevator. And then all of a sudden you can add some planks. You can add some push-ups. You can add some bodyweight squats and then progress from there. And another thing we'll say is when you start to feel better, you start to build some muscle, you start to lose some body fat, look good, feel good. Yeah. And that's the truth. Yep. And that's for me too, you know?
Yeah, I think that's fair to say for all. You know, the one thing that you touched on about getting your mind right, and we live by that motto, I truly believe, and this is like, I truly believe if a person is depressed, if a person is in a funk, if a person is anxiety driven, a person is lost. I'm not a doctor, but like I would prescribe fitness first. I think, and I truly believe this, I think fitness starts the fire, right? Like
without a doubt.
Like you got to hear me. Like people don't understand. Like you can have the worst bad luck and going through divorce or a death in the family or whatever. I feel like fitness is the move. Like the moment you start the fitness, it starts to change everything, right? It starts to change everything. Like you said, because whether you have stress or anxiety, you're releasing that in some sense, right? In some form. You are, if you're in a gym, you're socializing, you're around other people, you're interacting. As you're going, you're noticing progress, you're obtaining goals, and all that does is shapes the mental. All that does is shape the mental, because like we just started off with saying, hey, when we don't work out in a couple of days, you start to feel the funk.
Yeah.
Think about the people that don't work out for years, or think about the people going through struggles and continue to go through these struggles and don't do anything about it. If we're saying just a couple of days and working out clears it, like all I would say is like, please go work out.
Yeah.
Try to catch the fire. Try to just be consistent. It doesn't have to be nuts. You just catch the fire and you're going to see what it does, because consciously you're going to start making different decisions. You're going to have different perspective and lenses on when you're looking at and through your life. Right?
And I would say, you know, like I said earlier in the episode, like I have a tendency to get depressed. I have a tendency to be very anxious. And that's just like who I am. It's like part of my genetics, I guess, right? But my responsibility is to do what I can to deal with that.
Yes.
And for the most part, I think I come out as a pretty happy person.
Sure.
You know, I feel like I come out a pretty positive person, but I have to work for that.
Yeah.
And part of that is exercise. And again, I'm not a doctor either, but for me, I've got to do that. And I've seen results from that, you know, because in my life experience, yes, I have had depression. I have had anxiety, and it could be overwhelming if I don't exercise. And it's not that I've had this perfect exercise plan all throughout my life. There's times where I didn't work out, and I felt that, you know, and I felt that. And when we talk about getting into a fitness program, and one thing I'll say is like, you could get frustrated because you're not losing weight. You can get frustrated because your pants still fit the same or your shirt still fits the same, and you don't notice that physical difference. And one thing that we've suggested being in this industry is start a journal. And how do you feel?
Yes.
How do you feel? Because those little things afterwards are what makes the difference.
Yes.
When you work out for a month straight and maybe you lost 1 pound, but like, what about how happy you were? What about all these other little things? You had some other great ideas that led to some more great ideas that led to more and more, and building off that. Like, that's another thing that we're encouraging you with this episode. Look at these things too, right?
Right, yeah, 100%. And one thing that comes to mind is, especially with the work we do, is numbers. Numbers have such value for people, right? Whether it's on the scale, whether it's in their lifts, right? And I think sometimes people put too much value in the numbers, and they're not thinking about their well-being, right? So when you said that, hey, you might not be losing the weight like you think you should, or going in that, it doesn't mean that you should stop it, right? It doesn't mean you should stop it. Be consistent. How are you feeling? Do you feel better? Yes. Eventually, you're probably going to lose that weight if you stay consistent, correct?
Right.
Or maybe there's a different approach that we have to go, or maybe another detail we have to uncover to kind of change up. But at the end of the day, it doesn't fall on the number. Like, don't let the number take you over. Same thing with, let's think about athletes that are looking for PRs, and, you know, I want to hit this number because if I hit this means I'm D1, or if I, you know, whatever the case is. It's okay if you don't, man. How are you performing on the field or the court? Like, is that
100%.
improving? Are you doing well in school? Like, how does your body feel? Just because you didn't hit 225 doesn't mean, you know, that the world's over. You can still benefit from not hitting numbers, right?
Right.
And again, I think numbers come in place, right, for tracking and performance indicators, especially on our end.
100%.
And yes, it helps with self-esteem and confidence to see that progress, but don't put it all on that, right? Again, you're making it how you feel. Do you feel stronger?
Yeah.
Do you feel faster? Do you feel lighter? Do you feel healthier? Those are the type of questions that you need to ask.
Right. And are your numbers going up too? And yeah, 100%. Like in what we do, we can't get away from numbers. No matter what we do, we can't get away from numbers because they are important. But you see young kids that they want to strive for those, you know, oh, I got to get 225. Well, let's work your way up. It's your form. It's, you know, let's build that strength, hypertrophy, blah, blah, blah. You know, I don't want to turn this into an exercise science episode.
Right.
It's not. But another thing too is when we're working with the adult population, it's when I want to lose weight.
Yeah.
I want to lose weight, and it's 10 pounds. But there's also other metrics that you want to look at too.
Yes.
And this is getting back into the physical aspect of it. Building muscle, all right? Losing body fat, basal metabolic rate, like different things that are just like visceral fat too. Another thing
huge.
that these are other things that you want to look at too, rather than just losing weight. And that's kind of an old school way to look at it. And listen, it's a good thing at the end of the day. Like losing weight is a good thing.
It's not everything.
It's not everything. It's definitely not everything. And there's other numbers to look at, you know, speaking of numbers, but there's an overall like bigger picture to everything. And there's not a whole lot of like downside to exercise, you know, not that I've seen, and I love the industry, but there's
overtraining.
Right,
Like
overtraining, sure,
like
yeah, you know, so
one.
right, overtrain, and you know, I'm looking at it from a general, you know, and there's way to kind of navigate through that too, if you do have some overtraining and different aspects of that. But for me, like as a whole, there's the pros outweigh the cons.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think like now it's time we ask, like, hey, how do we get started? Like, and you know, if we have some listeners that are like maybe got some insights out of this, like how do they get started?
Yeah.
You know?
And the one thing is, before we jump into that is, you know, we run a goal season right here at Fame Strength. And a lot of the adults get anxiety and they're like, oh man, we got to get these goals, because we give them a time limit, right? In order to achieve these goals, we'll set them up a plan on how they can achieve these goals. And we make sure they're realistic too for the time frame. And some of our adults hit them, some of them don't. Some of them hate goal season, right? And some of them don't. But the thing is, for us, it's one, to motivate them, right? Like the fire, and give something that they can chase. Now, the big thing I want to say about it is, like, even if you fail and you don't hit those goals, as coaches, we don't think you're a failure, right? We want you to say, hey, if this is a goal, it doesn't mean it's over. There's 8 weeks. Like, continue to shoot for that goal. Like, it's okay. Sometimes you don't hit the target within this time frame. Right. Maybe it takes you longer. Maybe you needed to adjust your plan or whatever the case is. Continue at. And that's where I think, you know, most people fails, because they're looking for, hey, I need to lose 10 pounds in 1 week. And they lost 4, and then it just plateaued, and they're like, oh, throw it all away. I'm not doing this anymore. You know, where it's just like, dude, maybe you don't lose 10 pounds in 1 week. Right. All right. Most of the time you don't.
Probably not.
Yeah, right? What about a month? What about 2? Like, would you be upset if you lost 10 pounds in 2 months, or it took you 3 months to lose 10 pounds? Like, regardless, you should be consistent on going for it. Don't put the value in those numbers. And we said it in the past, where when you're not motivated, you have good habits that keep you consistent, even in the low moments, right? Because no matter what, as long as I said that staircase, as long as you're stepping to the next step, you're eventually going to get to that platform or get to the top, right?
And I'm thinking of a quote in my head as you started to talk about that. I think it's like, you shoot for the moon, and if not, well, worst case scenario, you land amongst the stars, right? So if your goal is lose 10 pounds and you lose 2 pounds, well, you're still moving in the right direction, right?
Right.
you know, and you know, and over time, you're probably going to hit that.
Yes.
You know, you're probably going to hit that. So that's just one thing that I'm thinking about. And you know, that's
right. Yeah, it's good. And listen, how do you start, right? I think you want to coach, you want to look at the professionals, right? Like, obviously we run a gym, Fame Strength, and our process is very simple. You give us a call and we schedule you a free trial evaluation. And in that evaluation, we try to see if you're a good fit here, and if you like it here, right? And we kind of show you what we're all about and what our process is about. And from that moment, then we build out a plan and have something specifically set up for your level of fitness, right? Because we have all levels of fitness, and even for an athlete, depending on like your training age. That's what we do. So we love to bring in new people. We love to bring in new clients to come in. We give them an evaluation, show them our process, and then we sit down to discuss the proper plan of action for them to be successful, right?
Yeah. And then we progress from there, and we always encourage them, build this a habit and give it
Yes.
some time. And we always we say this, we say, give us 6 months.
Yes.
Give us 6 months and help us to change your life.
Right.
You know, it's you changing your life. It's not us. Like we'll give you the blueprint. We'll give you everything that you need. We'll give you everything that we have
Yes.
in our power to help you become the best version of yourself,
Yep.
physically, mentally, emotionally. But it's ultimately up to you. Like you're going to do that with what we got. We got great coaches. We got, you know, and then it becomes a lifestyle. And on this journey, and what I was going to say, and I said it earlier in the episode, is not only like building that consistency, you know, set goals, and that's great. We talk about goal season, set goals, but take note of how you feel after you exercise.
Right.
The first 2 weeks, the first 3 weeks, take note of how you feel, because that's super important.
It is.
Because if we just analyze these numbers and that's all we look at, we can get super discouraged sometimes. Because the truth is, it's hard to lose a pound.
Yeah.
It is. You know, there's a lot that you have to do with that. So it could really get discouraging.
Yeah.
You know, and we've seen that a lot. But like, what about like you were smiling, laughing, you're having a great, you know, so maybe you don't journal this, but take note of how you feel after you exercise. Even that first time, you're going to be sore a little bit, but take note of the mental benefits of it too.
Yeah,
okay?
100%. And I think that's a great way to end there. You know, like we said, fitness is we believe is the way to start. Like whatever situation that you're in, mentally, physically, like if you start that process and you stay true to it, there is light at the end to whatever that is, right, for you. And we believe it brings positivity in your life. We believe it brings creativity in your life. It brings energy in your life, efforts, your thinking process. I think it does a lot for you. And we advise you to definitely jump into a fitness routine. And obviously, we would love for you to be here at Fame Strength, right?
For sure.
I mean, so you can contact us online. You see our Facebook pages. We have Instagram pages and famestrength@gmail.com emails. So if you're interested, please don't be shy. We would love to have you. But I think that's it, man. That's all, everything they need to know, right? It's
and I'll
that
tell you,
simple.
like I'll close with this, and you look at other top performers in the world, and you look at people that talk about their journey to success. Everybody really mentions exercise.
Yeah.
And in one aspect or another. So
Yeah.
I think that's important.
Just
And
healthy, man.
It's not just us, hey, promote Fame Strength. We believe in what we do.
Sure.
We really believe in what we do. We're very confident. We love it. And we're passionate about it. But it's more than that. It's bigger than that. On a global level, those top performers and those people that are succeeding, that's part of their
Fitness
ingredient.
is involved. Yeah, fitness is involved. Nice episode, dude.
Yeah,
So,
that was fun.
yeah.
That was cool.
2 Down, 1 Over podcast. We are here, and I hope you guys grab some nuggets from this, and we're excited about where we're going with this. And listen, make sure you subscribe to the page. We're trying to get our race to 100 subscribers, so we would greatly appreciate if you just hit the subscribe button. Until next time, I'm Josh, and this is Matt. We will see you on the next episode.
See ya.